Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for our live discussion on the film A Starry Sky Above the Roman Ghetto with Giulio Basse and moderated by Antonio Iannota. It is such a treat to welcome you all to our 2022 San Diego International Jewish Film Festival Kickoff. We are extremely grateful to you all for your support of our San Diego International Jewish Film Festival programming and your support as underwriters. And we're so grateful to your continued dedication to this cultural program. And it's truly with the help of all of you that we're even able to do all of this. So on behalf of myself and our team here at the San Diego International Jewish Film Festival, thank you so much. For this morning's live discussion, please note you will have an opportunity to ask questions to our guests, and we absolutely encourage that. So please, as the conversation is going on between Giulio and Antonio, that you think of your questions and put those into the chat. Use the chat function available to the right of your screen, and we will get to those after the conversation between our director and moderator. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our guests for this morning, joining us all the way from Italy, which is just incredible. So Giulio Basse, director of A Starry Sky Above the Roman Ghetto, was born in Turin, Italy. As of today, he has directed 27 movies and acted in 50, working with directors such as Daniele Lucchetti, Nanni Moretti, Riccardo Milani, and Ridley Scott. His 1991 Crack, 1993 Less, and 2018 The Banker all screened at the Venice Festival. He was awarded 2 TV Best Director Oscars and was nominated several times at the David di Donatello and Nastri d'Argento and Siac d'Oro, the Globi d'Oro, and the Golden Globes. He also graduated in Cinema History and Criticism and Patristic Theology. And then our moderator for today, Antonio Iannota, is a professor in the Department of Languages, Cultures, and Literatures as of 2015. He has taught Italian cinema at UCSD and at SDSU, San Diego State University, and Italian language and culture at the Italian Cultural Center of San Diego. He is also the artistic director of the San Diego Italian Film Festival. So now, without further ado, Antonio, I am going to send it your way. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, San Diego International Jewish Film Festival. The San Diego Italian Film Festival has been a partner and a friend of the Jewish Film Festival here in San Diego. When I say here in San Diego, it's for you, because as for Giulio, I am in Italy as well. We're in 2 different locations, 2 different parts of Italy. I'm in the south of Italy at my parents' house in a very small town near Naples, just to give you, a space reference. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Giulio. This is a beautiful movie. I personally, but I'm sure all the people, all the underwriters of the Jewish Film Festival really enjoyed the movie. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story for many reasons, in my opinion. One of the reasons, and maybe we can talk about that later, one of the reasons is because, the true protagonists of the movie are female characters, are young or less, younger people, and that's wonderful. But it's also very interesting, the movie, because it's set and starts from one of the darkest page of our history, October 16, 1943. It's a date that other times Italian cinema has used for a narrative. So it's always important to remember that date. It's always important to remember our history, and it's always important to use that page and that history in a narrative that is very, optimistic for the future and for future generations. So for these are just, a few reasons why I really appreciated your work and I really enjoyed the movie. But the first question I would like to discuss with you, and I would like to give you the opportunity to give us more feedback. It's about, what is in the background of the story. when did you have the idea for this story? How long did you work on that? You know, if you can tell us a little bit more about the, you know, the background, something that it's not that easy to dig on the internet. Grazie.
Grazie a te, Antonio. Thank you everybody, and good morning to all the San Diego people who are watching us. I'm very honored and flattered to be invited, that the movie has been invited to this festival. And as for the question of Antonio, the idea of the movie came from Israel Cesare Moscati, to whom the movie is dedicated to. Israel Cesare Moscati unfortunately died a few weeks before the beginning of the shooting of the movie itself. And he was a prominent member of the Jewish community in Rome that for all his life, he did other things, other business, other job. But he had this great idea of making a movie about that terrible day that Antonio remembered, that the dark October, the Black October of the Jewish community in Rome called that day in 43, and to make it for new generation with new generation in it. The idea was great. He never directed a movie, not even a short one. So the producer didn't feel kind of sure to give money and an investment, a commission to him to direct a movie. So Rai Cinema, which is the prime producer of the movie, called me and say, you have to meet Israel. He's a great guy. You will work together well. And they were right, because I met Israel, and probably it was one of the greatest encounter and greatest meeting of my life. So enlightening, so inspirational for me. And so the idea is his, and I will always remember that. And together, we worked together at the script for kind of 1 year, because it was full of ideas. But you know, a script is something that you have to know how to write. It's like, to make an example, it's like the pentagram in music. If you feel the music, if you had the music, but you have to put that notes under those 5 lines, and to make people understand what the violin or the piano or other instrument has to play. And script is almost the same thing. So I was kind of not only the translator of his ideas, but working together with him as a not Jewish as I am was one of the greatest gifts that life gave me in the last years. Unfortunately, as I said, Israel died, and so I was the only responsible for the shooting and for how the movie was edited and then made in a way. But that event of the Israel death allowed me to be even more in contact with Riccardo Di Segni, which is the chief rabbi of Rome, a man of enormous cultivated intelligence, smart. He knows everything about history, solid, really a column of his religion and of our culture. And I say how, because even if I'm not Jewish, I make a quote of Benedetto Croce, an Italian philosopher, said that we cannot but call our Christians, and I say that we cannot but call ourselves Jewish, because it's part of our history, of our culture, especially in Rome, where there is the oldest Jewish community in the world, besides Jerusalem, of course. So they are like our biggest brothers. I love them. And now that I had the occasion of making this movie, and the Jewish community of Rome put our sponsorship and they were there with us and supporting us, I feel part even more of this family, and I'm really honored to be part of it.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's great, Giulio. Thanks for this. But also, the fact that you're not Jewish, and the movie is exactly about that. It's about the importance of history and memory, especially for new generations. But the other main topic of the movie is it's exactly the coexistence and the necessity to live together in peace between, you know, different community. In this case, in particular, Christians and Jews, but, you know, metaphorically can be whatever, you know, whatever communities that join together and move forward, especially thanks to, you know, new generations. But, you know, another thing that is very particular and important about the movie is about the real locations. The locations, you know, Rome, of course, at large, but, you know, specifically, you know, the conventi, the piazze, the streets that you use in the movie. You reminded everybody that the ghetto in Rome, you know, hosts one of the oldest community of Jewish around the world, except for Middle East, of course. And this is very important because this is at the core of Roman and Italian and large culture, but also the use of the locations. Maybe, you know, we can spend some more, you know, words about those, how you got to get there. Do you know any important cardinals or bishops as, you know, your character? And did you enjoy your character in the movie? Giulio, everybody, you know, I think everybody recognize him, that is the Sophia's father, and is very important pianist, musicians. And at a certain point, there is a personal connection that helps the story moves forward.
Yeah, thanks, Antonio. Yeah, you're right. The really peculiar thing of the movie was that I remember when we went to location scouting, usually you have to spend a lot of time researching. In that case, because of the script was very specific, like Synagogue of Rome, Ghetto di Rome, Piazza delle Cinque Lune, there was not other choices. There were not, you know, options. There were just that place. And because of the security reason and ethic reason, moral reason, the Jewish community in Rome doesn't allow so often. Actually, probably the synagogue is the big temple of Rome is the first time that you could see it in a movie. So I was really kind of moved by that. But once again, was the meeting with the Riccardo Di Segni, the chief rabbi of Rome, that trusted me, and of course I trusted him a lot. I was like learning about how to make this thing right, not even well, but first of all right. We have to be right, because you were saying something important. The balance in Christianity and Jewish community, and that's was probably one of the reasons they called me a Christian director to work with a Jewish screenwriter, and then probably it could be a co-director if Israel was still alive. But in a way, it was, because I was continuously listening to his voice in my head, to his advices in my head. And also, when I got the call, I was really honored, kind of flattered, because when you have to tell such important matters, such important moments of history, you feel first of all the honor. I mean, in yourself, you say, "Wow, they think that they have the stature, to be able to tell stories like that." One second later, there is the duty of memory, as you remember, because memory is something that is not just a dress that you put on and you feel, blessed because you're telling about memory, and you are cool because you're making a movie about history and how memory is important. That is a duty. It's a duty, and when you have a duty, you have to make it well. That's the greatest lesson that I learned from Chief Rabbi, because of course my attitude as a movie director is to make things, you know, enchanting, to make them good, sometimes to make them well, to make the romance a little more in the sunset, you know. I'm not saying cheesy because it's not my style, but you know, I'm a movie director. I kind of change a reality a little bit. But in this case, the greater lesson of the Jewish community, especially of the Rabbi, was make the thing right, not make it dramatic or better. We have to tell the history, because there are so many people who are crazy, and he's right. They want to, you know, negate the fact, the negationism, you know, so it's important that we say the things how they well. So I studied a lot, I document myself a lot, I watched probably all the movies made about those period. And then, sure, when he discovered that I was in kind of, how do you say, in the right path, and was not an easy, I will say the truth, even today, was not an easy process. He studied me a lot. And at the end, when he finally say yes to the sponsorship and to the places, when I was going out of the office, I say, and I'm sorry, Giulio, I know that I was not an easy, an easy confrontation, but I have to be like that. So sorry for to be so tough, but I have to do that. And I appreciate it a lot, because a lot of things that, even for me, I wanted to make the things right. So after that, it was a sweet things to be there. The 5 weeks that we shot all in the Ghetto Rome, especially in the synagogue, in the school, in the temple, in the Jewish college, and then of course there are other parts of Rome, the Christian college, or the convento, as you say, the church when the baby has been saved. There was a real church when something like that real happened.
But I really appreciate, you know, the importance of studying and put an effort. I think that's really important. Of course, because I'm a teacher myself, I'm an instructor myself, but also, you know, we see that in the movie, because Sofia and her friends, they make an effort. It's not that they find something and then, you know, they try a little bit, they find so no, they make an effort. They need to study, they need to walk, they need to have a dialogue or a confrontation with other people. They encounter difficulties, and then finally they overcome them, and we have, you know, the beautiful, you know, resolution at the end. But, you know, at the end is important, of course, but what is more important, in my opinion, is the path, is the process that Sofia and the other teenagers do. And, you know, in a way, you already answered, you know, why it was so important to have, you know, a younger protagonist. But, you know, I want to ask you more about the choice of Sofia and the fact that, you know, the most important characters are women, young women and, you know, older women. But, you know, this is also very important in a society like Italy, but also like Western society, probably, you know, all over the world, where, you know, there is so much of patriarchal influence and oppression in different ways, of course. So to have, you know, the leading character carrying also this beautiful name, Sofia, you know, in the lead, I think, you know, it was a very brave choice, but also very right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Antonio. Yes, I mean, I appreciate the fact that the thing that the young generation make an effort to understand what was going on in those periods and try to fight a good fight to kind of resolve a dilemma, an enigma, a charada, sometimes charade, something. But in this effort, what we really care about, Israel and me, was that they were not making an effort, you know, like, I don't know, just protesting or going out in the street with, you know, with fire or fighting for something in a kind of empty way. They fight and they make an effort, as you say, with art, because they decide to make a play. So there is somebody that writes a play. They, of course, the music is so important. They are students of music. Somebody make the production designer. One of the girl is the director. Another time a girl, not a man. And sometimes design the costumes, and then make theater. In a way, somebody is shooting the scenes, so they make video. They make it art. They are telling this story, this true and sad story, making art, making something, and even more important, together, as you remember, together. There is no difference between sexes, there's no difference between Christian and Jewish, even through generations, as you say, because the grandfather helps, the nun helps, the Volterra character, I mean, the archivist of the Jewish community helps. So there are walls that we don't need. In the movie, we don't see, fortunately. And the casting process was pretty awesome. I have to thank my casting director, Teresa Razzauti, who I think did a great job, because I was kind of worried. The only thing that worried me before the shooting was, how could I get 10 to 12 young people so well trained and good actors? And she came with really thousands of self-tapes, pictures, tests, readings. I watched at the end only hundreds of them, and then I tested probably 50 people. But this makes me even more optimistic about the new generation, because at the end, the actors that I have, they really are well prepared. They were so focused. This history and the duty of memory, the thing that they said before, it was so important to them that no one puts his ego or her ego in front of the camera, but they put the story in front of the camera. Talking about the female characters who are the lead, me too, I was so happy about that. Of course, came through the story, because the Jewish heritage came from mother to daughter. So it was so important in the history that there was that. And but the way I was happy that these things happen in this way. Also, as you say, Sophia, that means, you know, wisdom. No, from the Greek word wisdom. So she is so wise at the end. She makes the choice that she thinks is the right choice to make, as well as the grandmother who was born Jewish. She make the best choice that she thinks is the best choice to make.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I have for now a last questions while while Lauren gathers some comments and questions from our invisible audience. And the question is about the language. Except for maybe the guy from the little cafe restaurant who speaks with a very heavy Roman accent, all the characters speak, you know, a beautiful standard Italian, and you know, for sure this is a choice that you made. And since I'm always very interested in languages, I wanted to ask you why, because, you know, we know that people in Rome, like, you know, people everywhere in Italy, speak their own Italian mixed with the dialect or with, you know, a different type of set of specific regional words. You know, I wanted to know if your choice was due for having a movie that is more international in a way, or, you know, if there was any specific reasons for that.
Yeah, thank you, Antonio. Yeah, one of the reason it's, as you say, to make it more international and not to make it too local with, you know, the dialect of Rome. And of course, it was made it on purpose, but also because I think that the story need that. I mean, it's not we in Italy. I don't know our international audience how many movies I've seen in the, you know, in the neighbors of Rome, in the outside Rome, in the poor neighbors, or in the suburbs. So the people that speak heavy with Roman dialect, or when you watch movie about the kind of middle class or high class, there are also always a critique about that. You know, they are the rich in a way. They're always the bad guys. In this movie, I didn't want to make like a political choice, not even to say they're good or they're bad. But of course, it's a story about Sofia is you remember she's a daughter of a very important musician who is wealthy, as the house shows. No, she has a beautiful kind of villa up the hills of Rome where she could watch all or whatever in Rome. There, her companions of school, they are studying school, so they are not just in a kind of casual or normal or suburbs school. So I thought it was a necessary choice to you know, kind of normal people, not good, not bad, but kind of usual and good guys, young guys that they are our future. And I tell you also a little secret. When the Italian press, when they asked me how did you get to direct all these young people, I made a kind of intelligence operation. Two of the kids, they are my kids. So I have the kind of informants in the middle of the guys, but also, of course, I treat them as well as I treat everyone else. And so all the group of the young people, they feel me, yes, as a director, but especially as a father. And that's why also I decided to cast me as a father, because the connection is even more deep in that way, not feeling the distance to the director, and I think it worked well in that way.
Oh, I think it worked exceptionally well, because everyone you know in the movie is a good actor, but you know the chemistry that we can feel in the group of the teenagers, it's really real, and it's really it's thanks to your strategies and your little performance and secrets. So again, well done. Lauren, I'm gonna call you from the office. Here you are. Do we have any questions from our audience?
We absolutely do. And I just want to say first, Giulio and Antonio, thank you so much. That was a beautiful conversation about a beautiful film. And we're so grateful to you both for having such, your chemistry together is fantastic. We need to do more programs with the two of you. It's just wonderful. So in case you didn't catch it, Giulio was in the film. He played the father, which was a really wonderful kind of like little spotlight role. And in keeping with that, one of our attendees today actually asked if you've done that before with other films you've directed, if you've been in any of your other films.
Yeah, actually, I studied as an actor, and so I love to play. And if you watch my filmography, I have much more movies done as an actor than as a director. But from a few years, I prefer to be a director, and I'm not casting myself so much. But I love to play. I always remember that play is a great fun. It's because you just transform yourself. You could leave other lives. But I'm not putting myself in the front line when I'm casting a movie, unless a producer says, Giulio, but why don't you make, I even don't make it finish the phrase, I say yes, because I like it so much to do it, that it's such a great pleasure that if somebody else asks, I try to forget my ego and, you know, say, no, I have to do that in this movie. If the producer asks, I will. And I will also in the future. I'm still working with directors, friends, colleagues, I'm so very much less choosy as an actor than as a director. As a director, I have to find the right choice. I'm pretty choosy in scripts. I really need a very good story. I'm very picky. As an actor, I try also to be, let me say, that kind of generous. If a first-time director comes as a script that he like to take off the ground, I say, please come, maybe you can help. I kind of always say yes, because it's just fun.
Yeah, and your connection to the film, I think, is just, it grows because of your, you know, not only directing it, but having a role in it. So I can imagine just how it impacts your connection to it. And it really shows. And somebody also asked if you're comfortable sharing which of the two actors are your children.
Yes, there are two guys. One is Vittorio Zevi, the Jewish boy in the black and white section in the beginning. So the one that could not go to war because he's Jewish, and the one who kissed the lady and then make her pregnant, and unfortunately he died. And the other one is the one who always play violin, and in the group is not a precise character, but is in the group. You could see a lot of time him is what was dancing. The one who's playing the violin is the one who making the video shots. In fact, he's probably gonna follow my paths, and I wish him good luck.
And was he actually playing the violin?
Yeah, he played a little bit of violin. He studied violin. He's a pretty good player, so I knew that, so I put it in the right spot. He's a good dancer, so I knew it, and I put it in the right spot. And it's great because I really I also have a daughter that was not in Rome during that moment. She's a little bit older. She's a designer, fashion designer. But in a way, my relation with Sofia, the leading female in the movie, was so connected to my real daughter. I even call her in the movie Piccoletta, which probably translates the little kid in the movie. Now I don't remember, sweetie, something like that. It's exactly the way where I call my daughter, and I always say bacio at the end of a call. That means send me a kiss, and Sofia always does that in the movie, and I always ask that in the movie. So it was really a great connection from me, with me and the kids, not even mine, but with all the kids. I thank them a lot, because as I said, I was worried. There was never a day in which one of them arrived late or without knowing the lines perfectly, or I don't know, kind of days that could happen with young people, or they didn't sleep. They were so perfect, really great. Thank them a lot.
Yeah, and they were fantastic. And I think that it just added to the overall impact of the film because it was unique. I think that seeing that, especially in a film festival setting, seeing such a strong core cast of young actors was really, really impactful and powerful. And seeing them strive to do something so good was, I think, important to represent as well. And somebody actually asked what or if any of this story is true.
Yeah, actually, the how do you say, the skeleton of the story, it's all true. We have a lot of real true stories and examples of young people, and not even young, but Jewish people saved by churches or other religious houses. And it happened a lot, fortunately, for those families. and even the grand nephew of granddaughter of Israel, who wrote the story, as I told you, had a pretty family path like that. But because we had to, join the real stories with our narration, our fiction, we could not say this is based on a true story. So it's just on true events. And for example, the will that you see in the movie, the will where the kid does, that's part of, it's a big matter of our history. It happened a lot of times. Probably US is too young as a country to have that, but for centuries in Italy, not only in Italy, in Europe, that was a great tradition. Mothers who could not make their kids survive as a matter of money or as a matter, I don't know, the problem, or because they simply didn't want them, they put in that will. They were in all churches in all Europe, and you put them in the will, and the will went turning down, and so the priest or the nun, they could find a baby and save them. In that case, he used to save for another reason, as you see in the movie, but happened a lot. We have several stories of Jewish people saved by churches or monasteries or other religious matters like that. There are books about that, probably other movies about that. So that was a real story. It happened, unfortunately, not only the good part of it, but the sad part of it.
Absolutely. And so I think it's important you're shedding light on both pieces of that, like the really beautiful, happy elements and what came out of it, but also that there was so much heartache, and during that time, and especially that date that Antonio referred to at the beginning of the program, is one that's really marked in infamy in a way. So I think it's important that you show both sides of that in this film really beautifully and really well balanced. And people were commenting, actually a lot of people in our comments were talking about the synagogue and just how beautiful it was, and beautiful. Some have actually visited it, which is really cool. And someone asked if you happen to know what the population of Jewish people is in Rome, or I guess Greater Italy.
How many you mean? I think in all Italy, probably about 1.5 million, something like that. And in Rome, probably not the half of it, but almost. And they live there where we really should. And now I feel like part of that family. And yeah, you're right. I never entered in the synagogue, not because I didn't want, because I wanted, but Europe, terrorism, not only Europe now, but a lot of reasons, security, and so it was not easy. And I was amazed when I entered that place. I was like, wow. Rome is beautiful, but that place, it's really shocking, amazing, big, even big. I don't know if the movie could show it, how big it is, and the color and everything. And so I tried to picture it I had my best, and I'm glad to hear that the people visited and they like how it's framed in a way.
Absolutely. And so we do have time for a few more questions. So if you have any that you haven't asked yet, please send those into the chat. One person did ask what your plans are for the film moving forward, for its distribution, and for spreading it out into the community even further. Yeah.
Yes, actually, when the COVID, as you probably know, stopped all the world, I was so worried, because I felt, I had the feeling that this movie works well, not only about money, but works well because it's in a way, it's a teen drama. It's people there is a romance with these two guys, and then the young people who are the people who go to the movie, no theaters to watch movies. So was perfect, both of a kind of didactic point of view and also for an entertainment point of view, and the beauty of Rome in the middle of it. So I was really disappointed that people couldn't watch it on a big screen. But in Italy, it came out on our biggest platform, it was called Rai Play. It came directly to Rai, which is the biggest network that we have. So and it was free because they decided, and that was a great choice for me, to came out on the Day of Memory, so in January 26, if I'm not wrong, which is the Day of Memory probably in the world. So they decided to make it free for everybody. So we had a huge amount of people who watched that day, and then in the following days. And even today, it's free. If you not probably from a foreign territory, but if you are in Italy and you go to Rai Play, you can watch it whenever you want. And then a lot of festivals around the world. And so I was very pleased. I remember when the COVID was crazy, and but Australia was not in a red zone. I remember that the movie was out in a movie theater in Sydney, and I was like, please, I called the responsible there, make a video with me with the Facebook Live, because I want to watch people in a real movie theater watching the movie. And then we had the choice to show it as a premiere at the Rome Film Festival, where there were people there, and then not many chances to watch in a movie theater, but in festival like yours, like this one, I think it's important that people watch the movie and try to, reflect on the movie, especially the new generation to whom, in a way, the movie is directed. I mean, it's for everybody, but especially to them who are in the movie. And that's, in a way, that's why we did it.
Thank you so much. So just a couple more questions today. So another fan favorite in the movie, aside from all of the wonderful young actors, was the Nana, the woman who played the grandmother, and especially the revelation scene where she learns her own connection to this story, and the part that she plays in all of it, which was, I think, a really stunning moment. What can you tell us about that actress, where her career has gone since then?
Yeah, she's especially a dubber. In Italy, we dub a lot. We have this strange for me, because I watch all the movies in original and not even English, but Korean, African, Chinese. You tell me I'm used to read subtitles and to watch the movie as the director has done it. But in Italy we dub a lot, so she's a dubber, so of course she has a great voice. But my choice, honestly, but she knows, it was try to research a kind of, the same treats somatic with Sophia, because she's the grandmother, and I wanted there to be similar, and also to be similar to that young girl that was at the beginning, so blue eye and etc. And then she is from Turin, that the same city from where I'm from, so kind of, a piece of art of mine. And then she did an incredible reading. I remember her test on camera. She was almost like you watch in the movie, just perfect. Because I didn't want to make, as I said before, to make the movie, cheesy or too people crying and having, the mother scene of dramatic or melodramatic. I wanted the revelation and the ending to be, in a way, dry. You discover in the movie that the climax has no sound, because there is no reason to have sound there. There is just two people there. They didn't see each other for 70 years, having had such a huge bond one to each other. There is no reason to make any, you know, crying scene or music or sound, just two souls that speak, even without sound. And she was dry. That was, I remember, in the screen test, and I decided for that path.
Thank you for sharing. And so this will be our final question for today. So one of our attendees mentioned the sensitivity around the dinner scene when they're celebrating at Sophia's apartment or the villa, and the particular sensitivity around the kosher restrictions. Did you have an advisor for that? Okay.
No, please. If I mean,
yeah, no, that's
okay.
So that's what they're asking, if you had somebody to advise, because it was really well done and very correct, very accurate.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel so proud, because this is part of our meetings with the rabbi, that was very specific, and it was very sharp about what we had to do, and I was so very happy to discover. I'm a curious person. I feel like a student. I study all the time. I watch movies all the time. I want to improve myself all the time. So in that moment, at those moments with him, I learned a lot about history, about, you know, the Jewish way to do. And that's why in the movie, at a certain point, there is a guy who say, so this is the kosher way of doing, and the other guy that say, yes, are you really interested? You want to know? And the guy say, yes, I want to know. That's my kid, again, because I wanted him to really understand what was the process, and I'm so fascinated by it. I want to be Jewish in a way, because I felt like such a great respect for the culture and the history and the way and the strength and everything, the culture, really. And so what I really remember in my meeting with the rabbi, that I told him that rabbi means maestro. What in Italian is maestro is like master. So somebody that really teach something. And in that case, he really was a rabbi. He really teach me a lot of things that I learned, thank him. And I'm happy that the movie has been realized accurate, even for his help to me.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say, Giulio, Antonio, thank you so much for your time. Again, this was just a really wonderful conversation, and it was wonderful to dive deeper into this really powerful film and really significant film. So thank you so much for creating it and for sharing it with us and for sharing this conversation with us today. We're so grateful.
I'm grateful to you, Lorraine, and to your audience, and it was a great pleasure to sharing my thoughts with you. And it's always great to remember the movie in my mind, in my soul, and listen to people who have questions. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
To the Jewish Film Festival, and also thank you, Giulio, to open you know, your box of knowledge, because it doesn't happen often that a director is also so generous in telling us all you know, the relationship that happen, you know, behind the scene. It's not something that happens all the time. So I really want to thank for that generosity.
Yes, and thank you so much again to our wonderful underwriters who make this possible. We're so grateful, and thank you to all of you for joining us today. Be on the lookout for our next program. And then, as you know, in October 1st through the 3rd, we do have the Joyce Forum Shorts Film Festival. So check out online at the lfjcc.org for more information about that. It'll also be a really, really wonderful program. So once again, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And to Giulio and Antonio, have a great evening. Thank you again for joining us all the way from Italy. That's such a treat. All right.